How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Mullen, which was up 2% on the day. So, you know what? It was staying consistent. We have been in some volatile markets, but overall, the market finished green on the day. And of course, that's what we got from Mullen as well. I won't be wasting any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis from Mullen. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $1.02, being up 2% on the day. On the low, it tested 99 cents, and then on the high, testing $1.04. So we had the same high for yesterday. Now, when we take a look at our volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 25.641 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 52.952 million shares. So we did have below average volume on the day, and we've seen some consistency in this stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below, it's at 38.95. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. And it's clear to see that Mullen is in a bear market, trading below all of our major moving averages. And also taking a look at the RSI very quickly, we see that it's trying to curl up to around 40. So as far as for the high of the day, we ended up matching it at $1.04. But let's take a look at this 21-day EMA here. It is set at $1.19. So it's continuing to go lower. And this gives Mullen the opportunity to get even closer to it. Now it's only off by 15 cents from the high. Since it did close at $1.02, we can definitely assume that $1 is seeming to be a decent area of support for Mullen. Because right away we could see as far as for the low of the day, it was at only 99 cents. And as far as for that high, that's where I'm saying, well, you know what? If it wants to decide to continue to consolidate within this range, it's only a matter of time. We'll see a pop to the upside. And that pop that I'd want to see first is around $1.14. Remember, this was an area that we had challenges with in the past. So we can break through 114, that's where I'd want to see us get to the 21-day EMA. And if we're able to actually break above the 21-day EMA upon building some support and some strength, then we want to keep an eye on this 50-day moving average. As you can see, it's continuing to go down because right now it's at $1.85, and I think yesterday it was around $1.87. So that's pretty much what you want to see from Mullen, but for the most part, it just looks like it's continuing to consolidate. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information from Mullen. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So we don't have any new or closed positions for the 25th, but we have a change here, extended market index fund, that went in and reduced, as you see, the value change of negative 52.94% and their share total being at 3,011. And now when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 23.55%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 4.47 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 850,000, updated 10 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow-free rate, it is at 4.39%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 23rd, it is at 25.22, and then for the close of the 24th, being at 20 23.55. And then taking a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 11.66%, Mullen unfortunately doesn't meet our criteria of having short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution from Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it is at 5.61 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 5.46 million. So we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 1.15 million. On the medium, it was 3.47 million. And then on the small, it was 0.99 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 1.12 million. On the medium, it was 3.49 million. And then on the small, it was 0.85 million. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, we could see from May 25th, which was today, it was just over 25,000. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying, but it was still fairly close. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 7.86%. And that's not too bad for a volatile stock like Mullen. And one thing that is clear with the consistency that we saw, there's still some demand in the market for this play, especially at the levels of where it's trading at. So let's go on to the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for Mullen, when it comes to the price action, so we ended up seeing a high at $1.04, just like we had yesterday. And we ended up seeing a low though, right at 99 cents. So what does that mean? We ended up forming a higher low. But one thing that we have to pay attention to as far as for that high, we need to get a break above that level. And the level that I want to look for next is, yes, right around $1.15. And if we can get to this level, then we have the 21-day EMA, which is at $1.19. So not too far off whatsoever. And these are the areas that you want to look out for the upside. So add that to your homework. As far as for the downside, if you don't know it already, so since 99 cents was able to hold, if we ended up breaking through this level, I really don't see us going below 90 cents in the span of one day. Unless we get some sort of bad news that sends the stock down further, or we have the market just going into a total collapse. Like I said, I'm not seeing it just drop below 90 cents in one day. So you probably have some comfort in actually hearing that. So as far as for the upside and as well as for the downside, it looks like this play has some more upside than it has downside, especially if it could break above $1.04. Also, we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership. We could see institution was decreasing their position. And then when we take a look at the short interest information, it still continues not to have short squeeze potential. It is still below the criteria that we normally look for at 14% or higher for the short interest percentage of the float. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. But if they end up having a strong catalyst coming through this play, it could take off very quickly. We've seen this many times in the past. So that is why you want to make sure you have your strategy mapped out. Some people are sending me messages today saying, hey, Dre, I think I'm just going to get in at $1. And if that's what you want to do, then that is perfectly fine. But just make sure if you are a trader, you have a stop loss and you're keeping it tight. So if I was in your position, if I was going to go in at $1 hypothetically, then I'd probably have my stop loss around 90 cents. So at least if I end up getting a spike to, let's say, $1.20, what does my risk to reward ratio look like? It is 2 to 1. 20 cents to the upside and only 10 cents to the downside. And that's what you call good odds. That's how you take advantage of great opportunities. If the reward is not bigger than the risk, then of course it is just not worth it. But again, that's what we use a stop loss. That is why we have risk management. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.